holiness for us today that are maybe not as well known. Some of them you might know, but there's a few in here that you probably might not. Oscar Romero, he's from El Salvador. He was just canonized this year. He was an archbishop, and long story short, he had a conversion experience where he realized that he needed to advocate for the poverty of people in his country. And he was eventually killed for his commitment to the poor and to justice. We have Saint Josephine Bakhita. She's from Sudan. She was sold into slavery. Unfortunately got into sex trafficking, and she was able to escape. She joined a religious order, and then she turned around and helped the same people who were in her situation. So we have Saint Josephine Bakhita. We have Saint Gianna Beretta-Molla. She's from Italy. She was a mom. She was a doctor. She was pregnant, and the doctors told her that you also have cancer, and you can abort the baby. We can try to deliver the baby, but then you might die. So she was in a very complex situation where she had to choose. And she eventually decided to go ahead with the pregnancy, and she ended up dying herself, but her baby survived. Saint Andre Bessette, he's one of my favorites. He's the miracle man of Montreal. He was a brother in the Congregation of Holy Cross, and all he did his entire life was simply open the door to other people and to listen to them. And if you go to St. Joseph's Oratory today in Montreal, you can see all these canes and crutches on the walls from all the healings that he did with the people he listened to and encountered and prayed with them. St. Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, otherwise known as Edith Stein, she's from Germany. She converted to Catholicism, and she was brilliant. She studied philosophy and theology, and she eventually became a nun. Unfortunately, because of her Jewish heritage, she was killed in a concentration camp during the Holocaust. So Edith Stein. Saint Padre Pio. He was a mystic and priest from Italy. He is known for his power of prayer and healing. And he also had the stigmata, which is the wounds of Jesus in his flesh. St. Catherine Drexel from the United States, a big advocate for social justice and education, especially with the people most marginalized in society. She founded many churches, parishes, schools. St. Alberto Hurtado, he's a Jesuit from Chile. And again, another great social justice advocate, reformer, lawyer, social worker. And he died very young. He had pancreatic cancer, but he was known for his absolute commitment to the poor. St. Teresa of Calcutta, she's very well known. She's from India. Well, she's not from India originally, but she served in India among the poorest of the poor. She founded the Missionaries of Charity for this work. Now, he's not a saint yet, but he probably will be. Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati. He's from Italy. He was a very lively, young person, was very devoted to the Eucharist and social justice, and very, very popular in school. And he died young too. He contracted polio, but he was known just for his devotion to Christ in the everyday of life. Rani Maria Vattalil, she is from India. She is a religious who was passionate about social justice, working among the poor. And there were a lot of people who were opposed to her work, and she was eventually murdered, which is very sad. But she has made a profound impact on the Indian church. Stanley Francis Rother, he's from the United States, but he did his work in Guatemala. And this was during a time of great political upheaval in Guatemala. And he was serving there, and then he went back to the States during the uprisings, and he said, no, I have to go serve my people. And he went back to Guatemala, and he was eventually killed for his commitment to the poor. Venerable Pierre Toussaint from Haiti, but then he later came to New York, where he advocated for people who were poor, who were marginalized, especially people in the African American community. So Pierre Toussaint. Antonietta Mayo, she's only 6 years old. She's from Italy. She contracted, I think, bone cancer, but remember, with all of these saints I'm talking about, a lot of them seem to die from really tragic diseases, or they're killed. They're not really known for their cause of death. They're known for how they lived during their life. So Antonietta, she had a great devotion to Jesus, and as she was sick with bone cancer, she would write letters to Jesus saying, I offer my sickness, my suffering to you as a sacrifice for other people who are suffering. And she was just known for her joy, for her good humor, for her friendliness to other people. So Antonietta. And Carlo Acutis, he was a teenager. He's from Italy. He died of leukemia, but he was known, again, for his good joy, his Christian humor, his daily holiness. He had a great devotion to the Eucharist. He actually was a computer geek, and he made a website dedicated to all of the Eucharistic miracles around the world. Dorothy Day, she's more well known. She's from New York. She founded the Catholic Worker Houses of Hospitality, and she has a pretty exciting life herself. She converted to Catholicism, and she's a great influence in my own life too. Dorothy Day. Takashi Nagai, he's from Japan. This guy was a survivor of the bombing at Nagasaki during World War II. And he has just led a life of incredible prayer, devotion. And he's written books and poetry as well. He was also a doctor. He was a radiologist. And he eventually died because of his exposure to radiation. But he was known for his just absolute witness to holiness in his life. And then lastly, Thea Bowman. She's from the United States, Mississippi. She did a lot of work on the behalf of Black people in the United States, the cause of, pushing back against segregation in schools and in churches and parishes. She was a religious sister herself.